Ladies and gentlemen, on the line, I have Pettytupactv. Tell everybody where you grew up, man.
Okay, I'm originally from Southwest Detroit. Anybody know that's the Mexican town area? And I jumped off the porch on the north end of Detroit, and that's where I came up, got in the game. As a young child, I didn't have my biological father in the household, but I had my stepfather, military man, firefighter, so there was discipline there. My mother, very passive. I'd be a lie. It'd be a smack in the face to say I grew up hard, but I got a hold to the temptations of the environment around me. I used to see the old remnants of the infamous gang here called YBI. I used to see the guys with the Gucci sweaters and the fly rings and things like that. And that's how I wanted to live. So, anything I went through in my life that was bad was self-inflicted.
What's the good and the bad and the ugly about growing up? You said Southwest Detroit, right?
Yes.
What's the good and the bad and the ugly about growing up in that area?
I would say the good would be it's multicultural. So us people from Southwest, we don't really do the racism thing. We used to be in around Latinos and Arabs and Asians and so on and so forth. It was always something to do. It was always fun. But then you had the gangbanging aspect that came around and got intense in the late 90s, early 2000s. Just a lot of violence. It's a real big pill culture down there. So got a lot of friends addicted to drugs and things like that from an early age. But overall, it was pretty decent. Got a lot of experience, a lot of memories there.
Me being from Los Angeles, I'm pretty fascinated about how gangs migrated from where I'm sitting right now all the way across the country, and it definitely hits Detroit as well. Mainly Crips and Bloods. I'm curious, what do you know about them making an appearance in Detroit, and when did that happen?
Well, I just interviewed a guy named Uchi Khan, and he's from what they call the Red Zone now, but he wanted to contest the word Red Zone and Bloods, and he gave me a history. Like in the mid '80s, there were Crips here. Grape Street Crips was some of the first guys he saw here. Flying Colors, which was the purple rag. Then you had Insane Undertakers, which had the red rag, and Headbangers had the red rag. Predominantly, though, I would say the bigger of the gangs outside the Bloods would be coming from Chicago. That was the GDs, and that really took off in the 2000s. GDs, Counts, Serranos. And as rap music progressed, you've seen the gangs grow.
What are some of the other areas in Detroit that one should stay away from if they aren't familiar with the city?
I mean, that's pretty much everywhere. I mean, you can go places, but certain things, when like friends come here and they had situations and incidents, it's like, why would you go to the east side of Detroit at a gas station at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night with chains on and things like that? So, but you pretty much, you can go where you want, but it's just certain times of day and certain things you can't be wearing. And that's pretty much throughout the whole city. I don't really know a very good part of Detroit, maybe a block or two, but I don't know a whole area of Detroit at all. The wolves is everywhere.
Damn. And how about yourself? How old were you when you decided to jump off the porch, I should say?
I was 15 years old when I jumped in full-fledged. I was 15 years old, jumped in full.
And when you say jumped in, what set are we talking?
I was GD, and that's around the time I started doing crime. When I joined those guys, I found out kind of what organized crime was and started hustling.
What's the relationship like, then and now, GDs, BDs, and they see these West Coast influenced gangs start coming into their city? Well, do you know what the initial, what they were initially thinking? Were they accepting? Were they not accepting?
From what I know with the history and talking to people, OGs, initially it wasn't very accepted, especially the Bloods. It was more of a Crip and GD type of thing. There's no BDs here. You might got some individuals, but not too many here at all. And like I said, initially it wasn't accepted, but now it's just a part of everyday culture, man. And like you said, it's amazing how the Bloods came from way from California, thousands of miles away to here, and you wouldn't believe how many different types of Bloods there is here.
Mm. Now, I know you spent time behind bars. When did your journey when did your journey into getting incarcerated, when did that begin?
Around the age of 15, it started off with the juvenile homes, going to high security placements, escaping from low security placements. So I was always in and out of trouble, but my adult trouble didn't come to. I was 25. I had got sentenced to 1 to 4 years in the Michigan Department of Corrections, and I ended up doing the whole 4 years. We were catching, various cases, tickets, and things like that.
Let's talk about juvie hall. What was juvenile hall like for a young man such as yourself? And I know you said that's right around the time you got jumped in. Specifically, what's it like for someone who is part of a gang going into juvenile hall?
Well, when you already a part of a gang, you got a couple people to have your back. You already got a little bit of clout. People probably already know you or heard of you or whatnot. But initially going into juvenile hall, just like prison, I was pretty nervous. It was a new environment. I never seen young men that aggressive, and it was an adjustment for me. Like I said, I was pretty scared until I got into my first fight, and I fared well, and people started liking me and gravitate towards me. After that, it was pretty easy selling because I could always think.
What was your experience with the COs? And I guess COs is not the right word. What the people who worked to keep the juvenile hall safe and things like that? Did you guys have issues with them?
No, I didn't. It was a crazy dynamic of people there. It was some strictly about the rule book, and then you got others that played loosely. They would, if they liked you, they would bring things in. If they didn't like another inmate, they would pay food. And at the time, food was valuable there. Food or liquor or marijuana that have you assault them. So it was pretty crazy. But for the most part, I loved everybody that worked there, and I see them downtown to this day or out and about in the city, and we still cool and remember each other.
That's what's up. So 15 years old, you do your time in juvie hall, you get out. What's next for Petty Tupac?
Yep, I do 2 years, 2.5 years in juvenile. I get out. I'm pretty smooth selling, living a normal life for about a year and a half. And slowly but surely, when you hang around the same people, you reintroduce to what you were doing in the streets. And I went back. I reverted and ended up going to prison a short time later.
Now, I want to talk about some of your videos, ones that I didn't watch specifically, but the titles caught my eye, and I would love for you to go a little bit more deep into it. You have a video titled "What They Don't Tell You When You're Joining a Gang. They Don't Care About You Going Home." Can you break that video down?
Yeah, I've done multiple videos just warning the youth on different scenarios when they join the gang, because they don't tell you everything. They make it so they glamorize it. See, we got your back. We doing this. We trying to do this. We trying to better the community. So they tell you all this BS. But when you join, a lot of people become crash test dummies. And I've seen situations in prison where men were about to go home, had their parole, and they didn't jump in a fight or didn't retaliate when they were told to. And they end up getting stabbed or stabbed by outside source the gang hired because they wouldn't follow directions. So, basically they don't care if you're going home. When it's on the floor, when it's people mad, when they're trying to protect the reputation, you have to sacrifice that. So I know guys that, had 1 to 10 and they're on their 8th year, because when the gang call you, your number get pulled, you got to go. You got to do what you got to do. So to anybody out there that's listening, it's at-risk youth for thinking about joining gangs, it's not all what it's cracked up to be. When it's time to put in that work, you're going to have to put in that work.
Thank you for saying that, because that's the number one mission with my channel, is to keep kids off the streets, and to keep them out of prison or an early grave. And that's what that's why your content caught my eye, and I see you're on that same mission. So once again, I just want to appreciate you for doing that, because there's so much bullshit on YouTube right now of people going the opposite direction and glorifying this shit and it's cool and this and that, and you're telling it straight like it is. This is bullshit. Don't join this life.
Exactly.
Which leads me into another video with the title that caught my eye. Being a gangster was the worst mistake I ever made in my life. That's a deep title. Break that down.
Yes, worst mistake I ever made in my life by far. I ruined a lot of relationships. I missed a lot of time with family. All the hurt, the pain, the deceit, the betrayal, the being shot up in the hospital, having to watch my back everywhere I go. I can't go to places that I like much without looking over my shoulder. I don't see too much benefit from it besides I had got a little money at the time, a little notoriety. It was just the worst mistake I ever made in my life. I regret it every day. I showed a lot of fidelity to men I shouldn't have. And the streets, just not initially what I thought it was. It's very, very different. And it get intricate, and people don't see that.
How soon or late, depending on how you take it, did you realize that this life is for the birds? This is not going to, there's no future in this. I'm either going to be dead or in jail.
It was actually like my first year in prison when, you know, all the guys I was cool with, all the women I was cool with, none of them wrote me. None of them checked on my mother.
Yeah.
None of them asked did I need anything. None of them sent a book. Nothing. It's like, what am I doing? Yeah, I'm going to end up dead or in jail. And sure enough, I was in jail in the hole when I was thinking about that. Like, man, all these years I wasted.
What was life like in the hole?
It was very, very repetitious. And, you know, when I was locked up, I think I was temporarily saying I had a lot of behavioral problems and things I was going through. It was peaceful because I didn't have to look over my shoulder. I knew, you know, I wouldn't be around nobody without handcuffs on or anything like that. But it was just very boring. The same thing over and over and over. The monotony, the repetition. You know, I think it drove me temporarily insane. I definitely had a lot of time to think and plan. So it was some benefits to it. But for the most part, it was just super boring. Super boring.
Yeah. What got you through it? How did you make it through it mentally, even though you said you broke down and you know, were temporarily insane? Like, how did you officially, you know, just say, damn, I got to do this? How did you do it?
You don't really have a choice. But after I had my small breakdown, I just started just doing things to occupy my time, writing poetry or maybe some raps and long, detailed game plans, studying religion. I said I'm just going to utilize this time to sharpen my mind. So that's how I pretty much got through it, just doing it and occupying my time.
Now, I've heard of level 4 prisons out here in California. I've never heard of level 5. And then again, I'm a civilian, never stepped foot behind bars. But you have a video about your experience in level 5. You said you thought it was going to be super gangster, but it was more like, and then you put ... What was level 5 prison like for you?
Like I said, initially heading into a level 5, you know, they got the top gang members up there. They got the top shooters. You know, I thought it was going to be like mafia style, very organized, respectful, because everybody playing by the highest rules. But when I got there, I'm like, this really is a nut house. I never seen men smear feces all over their body or, you know, mix feces with mustard and paint murals on the wall. You know, guys pulling out their hookup every day on anybody who walk past their cell. Screaming all night, slamming on lockers. I'm like, damn, this really just a nut house that they put you in, because here in Michigan, they closed down a lot of the mental institutions and started sending people to prison. But some of those guys, I don't think they deserve to be there. They need to somewhere getting some special attention and treatment to adapt with reality or something like that, man. It was pretty bad.
Mm. You have another video where you go into detail of why prison is such a horrible place. Break down for these kids out there who are living the life that you were living when you were 15, 16. You know, talk to them about the most horrible things about prison, the smells, the bunking with another dude, the not seeing the women. You know, talk to me about just the horribleness of prison.
Well, yeah, you on point right there, man. Smells horrible. Super hot all the time or super cold. It's never the right climate. Everything you do, you have to have permission to do it as a grown man. somebody telling you what to do or what you can't do. I don't care if you got a gym call out, and if they tell you go back to your room, you got to do it. Call you out your name, call you convict, and standing on it. You know, call you a number. You never hear your name really from a CO. Definitely bunk it with another man, and you're in a room the size of a parking space with another man, the toilet in there. You got to eat where you defecate at. Like, who would want to go through that? Stiff necks, hard legs, none going, predators running around, people fighting over suits. That's just a horrible life to be living, if you ask me.
Yeah. When did you change, man? When did the light bulb hit and you're like, all right, it's time to go in a different direction and leave this street life behind?
I would say that would be 2 years ago, officially. Like, I'm done with this. I'm done with it. I was just sitting thinking, you just reflect back in your life, man. I fell in every statistical category to stereotype. Was going to prison, being shot, gang banging, no biological father in the home or a relationship with him. So I'm like, man, I don't want to keep going through this, nor do I want to put my daughter through this, because she's coming of age and she's remembering these things now. So that's the point. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna have to change, and I'm definitely gonna spread the word about the change and why not to go through the things I've done.
And once again, if you guys are interested in some really good content, check out Pettytupactv. He tells his story. He interviews other cats and who tell their story, and it's some really, really good content. Pettytupactv. Let's talk YouTube, man. How did you get into YouTube?
I had came home and I had gained access by mistake to my old account, and I had a video up of a guy named Cali Muscle out in California that I had posted 6-7 years prior, and it was at 1 million views. And then I was looking at his content again. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take a shot at this. And I did one video, didn't do much, but people were in the comments saying do another one. So I did like 2 more, and one of them just took off, and I was getting thousands of followers. So I'm like, I'm gonna keep doing it. And then when they gave me the monetization status to get paid for it, I'm like, you know what? Let me do this a lot more. So that's how I basically got into it. Watching Cali Muscle, very influential in that.
That's dope, man. I like hearing stuff like that. So your last bid officially got out 2 years ago, you said about?
Oh, no. The last time I got in trouble was 2 years ago. Gotcha. I got out in 2018.
Gotcha.
That was years ago.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. Yeah, what are your thoughts on this current state? You know, being in it for, a couple of years now? Is it safe to say you've been doing YouTube?
Yes.
Okay. What's your thoughts on the current state of YouTube, specifically the genre that a lot of people would place us in, the black genre, the brown genre, the whatever, prison genre, gang genre? What are your thoughts on the current state of YouTube?
I like it. It's interesting perspectives from everybody who did time over the country, the different type of jailing it is. I think it's very, very, very interesting. And I think a lot of it is real. We get some real guys to starting to do it. But I never see any of us really go to the next level, like a Cali Muscle. So I would like to start seeing that, or maybe lead the way trailblazing, just going to a different level with it. Like 1090 Jake, for example, but to do it without doing what he do, because you definitely got to live looking over your shoulder doing what he do.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's doing a good thing, but he's upsetting a lot of people with pulling out their paperwork.
Oh yeah, for sure. Then you got skeletons in his own closet. But yeah, when you pull out that paperwork on people, I learned that in prison. Even if a guy is a snitch or a rat or whatever you want to call him, if he like that, he really like that, people gonna make every excuse in a book to why that paperwork is not valid or why he did it. And you know, you think you're exposing somebody and turn his homies against them, but no, you just make them really turn up on you. So you got to be real careful with that.
There's been a lot of that on YouTube. Just this past year alone, a lot of, quote, paperwork parties and people being exposed and people being accused of snitching. And it even goes back to 5-6 years ago when Tekashi 6ix9ine took the stand after rolling with the Bloods in New York. And, you know, and now it seems kind of normal. I don't know, the goalpost is always being changed when it comes to snitching nowadays. I guess back in the day, there was a definitive line. We knew what snitching was. Nowadays, I don't even know, you know what I'm saying? But what are your thoughts on this whole snitching culture that we seem to be living in right now?
I look at it a little bit different. When I really sit back and realize what's going on, I feel like people pick and choose too much. A lot of people, they give El Chapo props and stuff like that, but El Chapo, he told on other cartels, and he was working with the government, sending his lieutenants to go work with the government to knock other people lows. It was Alpo. He got out. He told on people. He got out, walked around Harlem like it was. I got a friend here. He got a guy. He's pretty popular too. He got a guy or a couple guys here, natural life without parole, but he still walks around the neighborhood. Nobody done nothing to him because he's really like that. So I look at it like, I guess he had to do what he had to do. I wouldn't want to stay in that cell, for a life sentence anyway. And I think people taking it overboard because you got the Terrence Gangster Williams situation where he told on dead people like, bro, I like you too, gangster, man. If you can't tell on dead people to get out of prison, so it's just all messed up. A lot of people who never been through those situations or whatnot, they got an opinion. I think it's too commercial now, man. I'm not really looking at a guy no way because he told I'm not going to do a crime with you. So it really don't matter to me.
Yeah, that's a good perspective. Who are some of the YouTubers that you enjoy their content?
Definitely Cali Muscle. Who else do I like? Blood on the Razor White tells some good stories. Bunky Pound, very positive, tells some great stories all the time. And definitely Al Prophet. He do the American Gangster true crime stories and whatnot. I don't think he ever been locked up, but he still got some great content.
Yeah, shout out Al. I had Al on my show like 5 years ago, man.
Oh, for real? Okay.
Yeah. I went to his apartment and did an interview with him and everything, man. He's a good dude. He lives right here in LA. Shit, a stone's throw from around. Well, last time he did. I haven't talked to him in a minute, but yeah, shout out to Al, man. It's been a long time. I got to check in on dude.
Yeah, I think he's still in LA.
Yeah. You know what? Talk to me about some of these big YouTube sensations, for lack of better words, good, bad, or whatever. But, the people like, are you familiar with the Crip Max of the world and the Charleston Whites? I'm sure you being in the YouTube game. What are your thoughts? Let's start with Charleston White. What are your general thoughts on Charleston White?
I think he go overboard sometimes with that, saying F dead babies and dead people, stuff like that. He go overboard. But I agree with like 85-90% of the stuff he say. All he doing is holding the mirror up in front of rappers' faces, on them how they act. Even with the thing he did with Free Eric Holder, if you think about it, according to the street rules and standards, somebody accused Eric Holder of snitching, and they didn't have the paperwork, and it was just an assumption that they was throwing out there. He handled business. Now all of a sudden he a bad guy because it was Nipsey Hussle. So that was one of the points that he drove home. Like, that make a lot of sense. Rappers say, you put something on my name, I'm gonna do something to you, the streets like that. Also, he just holding the mirror up in front of people's faces, and they don't like it. They don't like it at all. But I agree with a lot of stuff he said.
That's another one I had on my show. Anybody who wants to check that out, type in Dusty Vision, Charleston White. I had him on in early 2000, right before the pandemic hit. Before most of the world knew who he was, before all of this stuff, that he's known for now. And that's what attracted me to him, was his initial message, which was just what you were talking about, holding the mirror in front of not only rappers, but black people, period. You know what I mean? Saying, this is the bullshit that we're doing. We need to fix our lawn before we start talking about other people and things like that. He did lose me once he started dissing the Nipsey Hussles and just the nastiness of the stuff he was saying. But if he would stick to that core message that he had 3-4 years ago that made me like him when I first saw him on Facebook, and then he became this big YouTube star, that would be great. But the only way to catch attention nowadays is to go overboard, and it seems like that's what he's doing. Another thing that caught my attention with him also was the fact that he supported Donald Trump. I'm not a Democrat and I'm not necessarily a Republican, but I think the current administration we have in office right now is doing harm not only to the country, but specifically to the inner city. Just my personal opinion. But I know you have strong opinions and you support Donald Trump. You actually have a video as well, I do believe, a couple videos on your channel where you're showing your support for Donald Trump. But tell everybody why, as a black man, you support Donald Trump.
I like the First Step Act that he initiated. 90% of the people affected by it was African Americans, allowing people to get less time on their minimum sentence for drug charges. So I love that whole prison reform step that he took, because it's definitely a lot of mass incarceration going on. It's definitely black people getting more time than their counterparts. So I love that. I love what he did for NAACP with the loans. I love what he did for the historical black colleges with more funding and refinancing things. So those are some of the few reasons that I like him. Just the transparency. You always knew how he felt. He didn't take 30 seconds to start answering a question. And it was all about America when he was attacking the companies that outsource their jobs to other countries so they can pay less. You know, he's bringing jobs back here to America. It was all about the people. He was a real patriot. I believe he fought in the nationalist type of category, and he could go up there and compete with the best of them. You know, guys just love like Vladimir Putin because he was strong.
Yeah. What do you say to people who call you, us, sellouts because we are people of color who support or don't necessarily fall into the lines of supporting the Democrat, Joe Biden? What do you say to people who, call you a sellout, call you an Uncle Tom, a house nigga?
They got to do their homework. We all been, well, I wouldn't say all, but a lot of us, especially in the inner city, who grew up in the ghettos, we all been brainwashed to believe we Democrats, and we got to go with what the majority of the people pushing, because the media project this type of stuff on us. But if you really do your research and you compare administrations, it's not even really comparable. It's laughable, man. The way the economy and the inflation. But you just look at the inflation. Look what you're paying for groceries right now, and then look 4 years ago. It's simple to see. People just got to. You know, I ask people all the time. They used to see me with a Trump hat on. Oh man, you like Trump? I said, what? Why you don't like? He racist. Okay, tell me what he said exactly that was racist or that he did to offend you. And I never ran into anybody that could tell me what did he specifically say.
It's some meme or something that they're trying to remember from 2 years ago that was posted, or him saying something about tacos. It's like it's always dumb shit. You're right,
man. I don't get it. You know, Trump reminded me of Andrew Tate. He really he's telling us, he's saying how we all really feel, but we don't really want to say it. You know, they said the whole build a wall thing was a racist thing. No, it wasn't. It was to keep first America safe, keep American jobs in American hands, because, you know, the more to come over here, they fill up those jobs. Well, I'm not gonna say that, but yeah, it was to protect us.
Isn't it crazy that you're called a racist now if you say something like that? That blows my mind, homie. You're just saying, I just want my country to be first. I just want to feel safe. You know what I'm saying? We see what's happening now with the borders, and shout out to anybody who makes it over. Hey, if you can get over, make a way, do your thing. But dog, it's getting out of hand, and it's a trip to me, Petty, that 4 years ago people were pissed at Trump for what was going on at the border with the quote putting kids in cages and this and that. But nobody cares about what's going on right now. These kids are getting separated from their parents. They're getting set into sex trafficking. The shit that's going on in the border, and I'm in Los Angeles. I'm 200 miles from the border, so I see it firsthand, dog. And I'm hearing about it firsthand. I'm getting stories and everything about sex trafficking and this, and nobody seems to blink an eye. You know why? Because it's not Trump. They didn't care about the kids. They just didn't like Donald Trump. That's what it seemed to me.
Exactly. Go stay in Mexico for longer than you're supposed to be. You're gonna get a year of hard labor over there. Now, you know, go over there and see what they do to us when we stay over there. So it's pretty crazy, man.
Yeah, I'm glad that you do at least care about what's going on in your country and I'm assuming your city and things like that. You know, when you see someone like a Joe Biden on TV just stumbling and fumbling over his words and falling off stage and falling upstairs and downstairs and, you know, damn near saying the N-word. Like, what are your thoughts on where we are right now?
We got to get back to strong leadership. I've seen a few of the Republican candidates. I'm not really feeling it, but we I just think we're in a bad state. I'm not sure his chances anymore after all this stuff, with him being arrested and all these allegations about paperwork at his house. But it'd be nice to get him back there. I don't know what the solution is, but except strong leadership right now.
Yeah. Well, I got one more question for you, then I'll let you go. And before I do let you go, I'll let you promote anything you have going on. But I want to wrap it all up in a nice bow, man. Take yourself back to 15 years old. If you could hypothetically talk to a 15-year-old Petty Tupac who's just thinking about getting into this life, stepping foot into the streets, not knowing what's ahead of them, what would you say to a 15-year-old you?
I would definitely say it's not worth it at all. You're going to waste a lot of time in your life, and you're going to have a lot of regrets. Work hard now, you can play later. If you play now, you're going to be working way harder later.
Thank you for tuning in to DustyVisionTV. Please hit that like button if you have not already. And if this is your first time joining the channel and you like what you hear, please hit that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this video, you just might appreciate this bonus clip I'm about to play for you right now. Ladies and gentlemen, on the line, I have DJ King David. Did you grow up in Detroit?
Yeah, I was born in Highland Park, which is a small city that's inside of Detroit.
What was it like, coming up in Detroit, good, bad, and ugly?
It was crazy. It was very unique because I was born in 74. So going to elementary school, we would hear stories about YBI, Butch Jones, and the drug dealer scene from the late 70s, early 80s. That was always like in the atmosphere.
Okay.
Gang scene, it was crazy. You just had to know where to go and where not to go.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Because we've heard about Detroit, and before Crips and Bloods even made an appearance in there. What were some of the gangs that you were hearing about in Detroit coming up?
In the early 80s, you would hear about the Earl Flynn's. That was an East Side gang from the 70s that kind of was like legendary. They had their own like a little dance move. You heard about the BKs, the Black Killers. We had gangs like the Smurfs. You had the motherfucking 7 Mile Dogs, Schoolcraft Boys. You had 8 Miles, Sconies. Like every neighborhood had their own little gang.
Did you ever join any organization, or did DJing kind of take you away from that?
Yeah, I never really joined the game per se, but I grew up on Schoolcraft, which is like a legendary neighborhood starting in the 70s. So I knew everybody, and I did my little dirt every now and then, but the music definitely kept me away from a lot of different street activities.
That's dope. Good. Now, you know what? Explain the miles to us. The miles to an outsider. We hear 7 Mile, 8 Mile. We out here we have Street, Avenue, Boulevard. Explain the mile to us.
Well, 8 Mile, like with the movie.
Yeah,
that's like the borderline of Detroit, the northern border. Once you cross the northern border, 8 Mile, you want like Oak Park, Ferndale, Southfield, depending where you're at. And the miles go to 6, but really 5 Mile if you're in the suburbs. So it's just really a street, 8 Mile, 7 Mile, 6 Mile, 5 Mile. And then it kind of stops. It's really like the design of Detroit from when they created the city. It was the number of miles away from the center of the city.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
So we have avenues and roads too. Like we got Joy Road. I'm from Schoolcraft Ave. We got Plymouth Road, Grand River Ave, Finkel Ave, Mac Ave. So the miles is like really small. It's really like only 3 of them in the city. The rest of the miles are outside in the suburbs. The further north you go, the numbers get bigger. The thing about Detroit, we got East Side and West Side.
Okay.
That's a whole different animal.
Explain.
Well, the East Side was like the earlier, like the city started on the east. So it's the older part of the city. It has some like newer parts, but for the most part, it's the older part, the West Side being the newer part. So the conception is, if you're from the West Side, you're doing a little bit better than the East Sider.
Got it.
But that's not true. It's almost like they look at the West Side as like being kind of suburban as compared to the East Side.
But we're all in Detroit, and that's crazy.
Yeah, the city is so diverse. You got like different pockets of the city that's like notorious. And you go around the corner and it's family oriented. They can go down anywhere. Real crazy.
Okay. Now, we've all seen 8 Mile. I don't know how you feel being from Detroit, good, bad, and different. I personally think it was a great hip-hop movie. How real was 8 Mile and the battle scenes and things like that, that whole, the whole look that they gave it?
It was accurate. Mm-hmm. The Detroit battle scene really started in the early to mid 90s. And it was super cutthroat. It can end your career. If you couldn't stomach the loss, it could be over for you. But if you could stomach it, you come back and be better the next time you go up there. So it was definitely crazy. The guy Lickety Split,
mm-hmm.
I was in the group with him.
Mountain Climbers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I was able to see the movie behind the scenes and really have that excitement of having a major motion picture being shot with people that I know personally.
That's dope.
Yeah, so it was cool. It was a good look for the city. Just watching it for the first time in the movie theater and seeing your peoples on the big screen was like an out of body experience.
Because a lot of from what I understand, this was told that a lot of the artists in the battle scenes and things like that were actual Detroit MCs, right?
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Can you give us some names that off the top of your head that you remember that were part of the movie?
Marv One. He went on to be a great battle MC on the big platforms, the URLs and all the battle leagues. Marv won at Quest McCody. Okay. Marv was in there. Super MC was in there. Super MC has done a lot of things. Miss Corona was in the movie. She started off as a battle rapper.
Is that homegirl that was at the food truck?
At the lunch truck?
Yeah.
Yeah, she started off knocking people's heads off. Nigeria Earth was in the movie for a hot second. She did some stuff with the Jizza.
Okay.
On the Beneath the Surface LP. Yeah, it was a few MCs in there, but then they had a lot of the like actors playing like the roles. Like Strike was probably the only person who was really a rapper who had a role that big.
And that was Lickety, right?
Yep, Lickety Split. Everybody else was actors.
Damn. Yeah, that's dope. Now, R.I.P. to Proof. Any good memories of Proof? Did you ever get to hang around with him? Any good Proof stories?
Yeah. Rest in peace to Big Proof. He actually passed away on my birthday. So that's crazy. But Proof was the first person who I kind of met in the hip-hop scene. Because the hip-hop scene in Detroit is divided into, like, eras. So from the era we come from, which started in the early 90s, was kind of centered around Maurice Malone, the fashion designer. Proof was working at the hip-hop shop. He was managing it and hosting the open mics. And I met him. And when I met him, it was a one-on-one. It was like just me and him, which is a rarity. And we battled each other on some rapping shit. And he told me, I'm going to do a song with you one day. Just stick around to pay your dues. So like 7 years later, he ended up putting me on the song. My first song as a rapper. So, yeah, definitely a lot of memories of Proof.
So,
real good guy.
Mekhi Phifer, loosely, the character was based on Proof from 8 Mile, correct? I believe.
Exactly. Okay. That's why he had the dreadlocks.
Okay.
Proof had dreads back in the day.
So was it a pretty accurate? Talk to me about was it the shelter or That
Yeah,
whole.
the shelter is the basement of St. Andrews.
Gotcha. Talk to me about the historical St. Andrews and the shelter and what it was like back then, the environment, being in there with a bunch of dudes and females who all love hip hop, and did shit get popping? Like, were there fights? Like, tell me
Oh,
an
it was
average week.
crazy. It was 3 floors of fun. That was the big party every Friday night, and the middle floor, the ballroom, was the hip hop floor. You walk in, it's going to be a big circle, and there's people b-boying and doing the robot and jitting, all types of, just like a retro feel. It's like walking in the B Street.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? You're hearing underground shit. You're hearing scratches, blends, real, we could smoke back in the club back in the day. So you would smell BDs and Newports and blunts every fucking where. The bottom floor at that time when I started going was like punk rock and alternative. And then the very top floor was like techno and disco music. So it was 3 clubs in one every Friday. And then the shelter was the basement, and they would have special events. Like they had shows or different battles. But the main battles happened at the hip hop shop. That's the only thing about 8 Mile that was kind of inaccurate. Most of the battles was at the hip hop shop.
Gotcha.
Which was this clothing store on 7 Mile.
Clothing store.
That was Maurice Malone.
Oh, okay.
That was his store. Maurice Malone, the clothing designer.
Turned into a battle thing after at night or something.
Well, every Saturday was open mic from 4 to 6.
That's pretty dope. Okay.
Yeah, so every Saturday they moved the clothes to the side, and they had a DJ booth and system in the store. And actually, it's a battle online of Eminem and Conniver.
I feel like I've seen it.
Yeah, so it was that atmosphere. Like once the word got out, you go up there and see if he was good. Now I was the best rapper in my neighborhood, but I had never really tried to pursue rapping. So I went up to the shop. It was crazy because Elza was hosting that day, and I got booed. I was trashing the mic, and that taught me like be prepared. So the next week I came, they didn't want to give me the mic at first, but then they gave it to me. And I did my thing, and kind of made up for the previous week. But that was some shit that you really had to be ready for, because it was like the craziest MCs in the world would just come in and just go off the head and just be murdering shit.
Yeah. Did it eventually end due to street politics and things getting involved and then bringing that into the environment?
No, not really. Maurice actually just moved to New York.
Oh, okay. That's good. That's a good ending.
The shop was from 93 to 97. And, from 94, 95, you couldn't turn on a rap video without seeing Maurice Malone clothing in the videos and stuff like that. So he was like really blowing up. And then they would have groups come in, like, you walk in one day and it might be a member of Wu-Tang and Jay Dilla's in there playing beats. It was just like the place to be.
That's dope.
Yeah, so he kind of outgrew it. His businesses got bigger, so he just kind of just moved. And at that point, everybody from the shop who kind of depended on that for their hip-hop, that's when a lot of us start going to the studio more, and you start seeing people with actual cassettes with a cover on it, and the CDs were getting pressed up. It was always happening, but when the shop closed, it kind of motivated us to kind of take it more serious at this point.
Who were some of the MCs making noise back then that may not have gotten a lot of shine or even blew up, big instead of the obviouses, but who were some of the ones that you can remember?
Royce the 5'9's group, he had his first group. They were called Wall Street. Rest in peace to Bo. He just passed away a few weeks ago. But Bo and Trey Little was to be in there repping real hard. Who else? Bugs. Rest in peace to Bugs from D12. Bugs used to go shut it down. It was a whole lot of groups that never really broke. But in Detroit, like, we know them, and like, they did shit. And they actually have a lot of cult fans online. But you got groups that was repping like Last One's Out, 31 Flavors, Wheat Bread, Fire Eller, which was a proof group that he was doing at the same time with D12. We had Ghost Town Entertainment, Biochemist, The Clinic, For a Fiend. I don't want to miss nobody. It was so many crews. Well,
It's all good. Let me ask you. When did you first run into Eminem?
I used to see Eminem every now and then at the shop in like 95, but like in 96, it was a spot. I used to go to this college called Wayne State, and there was a spot on campus called Alvin's. And they used to have hip-hop functions there maybe twice a week. And I ran into Eminem there, and we kind of connected. Was able to sit at the bar and have a drink after he got done rapping. Because there's like maybe 20 people in the room. So I would say 96.
Okay.
But I would just see him every now and then. Because I actually moved. I moved away in 90. At the end of 97, I moved away for a year.
Okay.
And when I came back, that's when M got his deal. Where he had his deal with Aftermath.
Yeah.
So then I really wasn't seeing him because he was out there doing his thing. But
so you didn't get to really see the year before he actually got signed, where he was probably doing the most of his stuff, right? To get blown.
Yeah, like in 97, he was really hitting the road and doing the battles. And like the shop closed in 97, so that was one of the outlets that you would run into him at. But I saw him again like in 98, no 99. Like when he sees me, like we know each other and shit. It's funny because the first CD I put out with the Mountain Climbers is actually a photo that me and M took at his homecoming party.
Nice.
But I was mostly like closer to like Proof and Bizarre. Bizarre is the person who took me to New Jersey and kind of put me down with the Outsiders.
Bizarre. You know what? And people used to. Bizarre has bars, dog. Let's keep it like people would say he was whack, and I'm like, you got to listen to what this motherfucker's saying. He's saying some shit, and he's
he in his own world with it. You gotta get into his chamber to fully appreciate it.
I do, dog. As a hip hop nerd, I appreciate that the differentness. He's like kind of like an E40, like I don't, I would lump him in a different category, like a Sugar Free, like. But he definitely has his own type of style.
His cadence he has that speed rap type of conversational flow.
Yeah, Bizarre, huh? Okay. What do you know about his come up in Detroit?
Oh, Bizarre was one of those dudes at the shop. Even before D12 really was cemented, like recording, Bizarre was just one of those dudes that his presence, like he didn't have to say shit. When he got the mic, you just gonna look because he was Bizarre. He had his whole shit down packed back then. And Bizarre was younger than us. Bizarre was like 18, 19, fresh out of high school. Like really pursuing his rap shit. Bizarre used to call my house and say, like early in the morning, like 9:30, 10. What you doing for your rap career? Are you still asleep? You know where. And he'll hang up on me.
Oh, nice. I like that.
Yeah, Bizarre was the motivator.
I like that.
He scooped me up, and next thing you know, I'm kind of like DJing for him a little bit. And then he got me up in New York and got me in Jersey, fucking with the Outsiders.
That's dope, man.
Yeah, he had an EP out called Attack of the Weirdos. And like I said, I moved to like Ann Arbor, like outside of Detroit. And I went to a hip-hop spot. And Bizarre's manager had a table set up selling his stuff. So I remembered him, but I didn't know him, but I remembered him, so I bought it, took it to the crib and played it. Like, oh, this motherfucker crazy, he awesome shit. Then like 6 months later, I'm in the studio because I moved back to Detroit to do music. So I ended up working at the studio that D12 was recording at. So once Proof saw me again and hadn't really seen him in like 2 years, he just kind of like slid me into the fold. Yeah, so big up to Bizarre. He opened up a lot of doors for me.
That's dope, man. Good dope sells itself. Talk to me about that project. What you got coming up with that?
That's like my reunion project, like, because it has Bizarre on it. It's a Pace One oriented project. You know what I'm saying? Outsiders. So it's kind of like, it's my first album. I was always doing mixed CDs and DVDs and DJing for different groups and doing the live shows and radio, but I never had an album. So this is my first album. Hooked up with DJ Butter. He's been dropping albums for a minute. And we just called Pace and like let's work. So it's coming real soon. Good dope sells itself. We got Bizarre on there. We got B-Boy Reg, who was one of those dudes from the hip hop shop. We got Four Eyes from Atlanta. They used to be down with Disturbing the Peace. Mm. Yeah, it's dope. I got production credits on it.
Nice.
And it's good. I hope everyone likes it when it comes out. We got some videos about to drop real soon. And we just working, you know what I'm saying? With T-shirts out here and flyers, and just really taking this street team approach on the streets and on the internet.
Yeah, it's a new world, man.
Yeah, so we trying to just cover all the bases, because everyone in the streets don't go to the internet for new shit. They go to the internet for shit they already know about.
Yep.
And then you got some people who do go to the internet for new shit. So we don't want to miss nobody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Well, where can everybody find you?
They can find me on YouTube, DJ King David 313 Detroit Skills. It's my new channel. I have content that kind of shows you where I've been with my career and the people who kind of co-sign me. And then you can also go to Instagram. You can follow me at DJ King David 1 Detroit Skills, all one word. And if you're on Facebook, I'm at David Hayes. Hayes, H-A-Z-E. Nice. Or you can just Google me.
If you have a child out there running the streets, give them an extra big hug today. Because LA is on fire right now. Big U, a reputable member of the Rolling 60s, who earlier this year was caught up in a big RICO sting, is facing another unfortunate situation. His son had his life taken from him last night at a smoke shop in Los Angeles. A smoke shop on Figueroa and 69th. Anyone who is not familiar with that area, there's a lot of activity in that area. And being that Big U's son was from a certain section, he was at a place where probably shouldn't have been. I'm going to ask people out there to stop going to these smoke shops in the hood. But Dusty Vision, you're taking away business from people who are just trying to make an honest living. I've never trusted these smoke shops in the hood. I know several smoke shops in the hood, and I avoid them like the plague. Stop going to these smoke shops in the hood. If you are from out of town and you want to pick up a little sack while you're cruising through Los Angeles, do not go to a smoke shop in the hood. As a matter of fact, we need to close all the smoke shops in the hood. There are so many other places in Los Angeles County where you can get your green from. There's no reason to put your life at risk by going to a smoke shop where something is liable to happen to you. When I go pick up my greenery, I either go to my bud man, he's always my first choice, or I have about 3 or 4 different spots that I go to that are not in the hood. Yeah, I'm going to pay a little bit more money for that. But you know what? Not going to have to look over my shoulder. I'm going to walk in, get what I need, and walk out comfortably. I would never go to a smoke shop on 69th and Figueroa. There's a smoke shop in Compton that I pass quite often. And it just looks like a setup. Oh, and by the way, there's pop-ins there every other week, it seems like. And unfortunately, we lost someone to another situation at a smoke shop not too long ago. See, what they do is they put these amazing deals. Man, you can get 450 grams for $17. I'm obviously exaggerating a bit, but some of these specials that they have are a setup. Come on in. Get that free greenery. Get that low-priced greenery. And it's nothing but a setup. These places, they hire beautiful women to work as what they call bud tenders. Cute girls. You ever go to these smoke shops in Los Angeles? And 3 out of 4 of the girls behind the counter, cute, beautiful. A lot of these girls are the ones setting these motherfuckers up. And I'm not saying that's what happened in this case. I have no idea about the details. I don't know anything at this point about why Big U had his life taken from him, if anyone set him up, if it was a rival, if it was a friend, if it was a random. I have no idea. But one thing I do know from talking to a lot of people and just knowing what I know about the streets, unfortunately, that a lot of these bud tenders are the ones sending out that text. Yo, guess who just walked in? He's standing in line right now. That's right, the op. Come get him. And then the op, who's right around the corner, just waits outside of the smoke shop and smokes their op right there. It happens all the time in LA. Once again, not saying that's what happened in this situation, but it does happen. Unfortunately, I think this situation with Big U's son is only going to spark more revenge, retaliation, and get back. The streets of LA have been on fire lately, and it's very reminiscent of what was going on in the 90s when I was coming up as a kid. As a civilian, never a member, but I lived in the same neighborhoods. I saw what was going on, and this is very reminiscent of what I remember in the 90s. Just every night, revenge on the op, revenge on the op, revenge on the op. Before you know it, there's 3-4 shootings a night in certain areas. And because it's in the hood, it gets very little news coverage. Just niggas being niggas again. So there's never any news coverage on it, which really, really sucks. If this was happening in Irvine or Orange County or Huntington Beach, Manhattan Beach, nice area like that with a fair-skinned population, it would be the #1 story. But it's just niggas being niggas, and the news pays it no mind. It is an unfortunate situation. Big U is sitting in prison right now, possibly facing life. I mean, it's looking like he ain't never going to see the light of day. And could you imagine just sitting behind bars right now knowing your son is no longer with us? If you have a child running these streets, give them an extra big hug today. Because the streets of LA are crazy right now. I'm sure more information will come out if it has not already, and I'll be staying on top of this story. So please tune into my channel and make sure you hit that like button if you have not already. And if this is your first time joining the channel and you like what you hear, please hit that subscribe button.